In November 2016, I had the idea to make a wheel. And okay, we discussed it in the family, as we always do with ideas. Shall we do it? Shall we do it or not? And everybody liked the idea enough to pursue it. So in about 3 months, we built a prototype. We made a small movie, and we made a Kickstarter project out of it in February, March 2017. A very short 3-week Kickstarter campaign. You know what happened. We collected a lot of backers and money, and that allowed us to stop doing what we were doing until then and focus 100% of our time and energy on the wheel project. We never made a record player. And I really thought, well, how hard can it be? There are record players everywhere, but wheel is a completely different thing than a regular record player.
Yeah, that's good. Because in what way does the version we have seen now differ from your prototype?
100%.
100%?
Well, that's not completely true. We have stayed very close to the original prototype in function and in the way it works. The prototype was nowhere near the specification it has now. It had an enormous wow and flutter. The arm was crackling. There was no tracking. So development started then. I know we presented it as a finished product.
Because what was the lead time for the backers by then?
Okay.
What did you promise in the first place?
I promised to deliver in October 2017. And I really thought, well, we can do it in 6 months, then we have a bit of margin and go. But as it sometimes goes, reality is much harder than vision. We have a mentality of making things ourselves. So if we have an idea or a design, we make it ourselves to have a proper feel of the quality of your design. You can design anything and outsource it, but there's always a distance between what you have designed and how the product becomes. If you make it yourself, you learn all the pitfalls and the things that go wrong. But we have done that for years and years, and for the wheel project, the initial idea was to be just designers, work with engineers, outsource production, and have an overview of the process. But we learned that or I should say, perhaps I am not very compatible with the way engineering is organized. Engineering means chopping a process up into small parts or competencies and have specialized engineers for parts of the mechanics, the electronics, and the woodworking part that's always there. Or that's also in wheel. We approach everything we do as an organic process. We make no distinction between what kind of technology is used for any specific part. So that was a major adjustment for us to work in that way. Going on from prototype to prototype, we became increasingly unhappy with how it worked. And we decided to bring the process home, as you could say. So more and more of the parts we decided to do ourselves. And then you come to a point that you say, it's pointless to outsource half and do the other half yourself. Then you should do the project all by yourself. Yeah. But it costs us the better part of a year to come to that conclusion. And actually, what happened was we had a kind of legacy of all the engineering that was done, all the money that was spent. But for a large part, we decided we start from scratch again and see what part of the legacy we can use. Yeah. But during the years, I have to say years, there's almost zero of that legacy left in the current version of Wheel. So everything was developed maybe from scratch once or twice or even 3 times. Wow. And that's why it's taken as long as it did. Even in a very efficient setting, I work with Piet, my son, and with Kasper and Arco, and we are the ones that are responsible for the design of Wheel as it is now. And mechanics and electronics, it's like we started, it's all the same process. It looks chaotic maybe, but it's for us a very efficient and innovative, especially that process, because we can implement all ideas. Yeah. That's why we use 3D printers. We have all production equipment to make all the parts ourselves. We can try a concept and say, okay, that's okay or not, and then we change it and we can try again. Mm. In the regular engineering workflow, that's much more complicated and takes much more time. So, of course, I promised October 2017, but a 4-year development cycle for a complicated product as Wheel is, as you have seen, isn't especially long. No.
Let's say there will be more demand from next year on or so.
Yeah.
Do you have thought about it, on how to organize it?
You should make a clear distinction between development and production. So, because we are designers, we tend to keep on changing and changing and changing and end up with a huge database with every serial number has another set of components. You have to be more pragmatic, so you have to say this is good, we don't change it for the life cycle of this product. Well, we are in that process. We are streamlining the production of Wheel as much as we can. We are removing all the roadblocks as much as we can and try to be as efficient as possible. But we've also been developing new variants, let's call it that, so we can streamline production even further. Mm-hmm. That's a process we're in now. Okay, and streamlining is in a way another way of redesigning. We've always designed with production in our mind. You don't want to use more material than necessary. You don't want to throw away expensive aluminium or plastic. So that's part of the efficiency, to not create waste. But, well, there's the time component. How easy can you... and that becomes very technical, how you streamline stuff. If you need to make 1,000 precision bearings, you have to have a proper planning to, let's say, to keep track. Because all components need to be available for assembly. You can't permit to miss one component.
But will you keep doing it here in your home, the production?
No, we are working on that. That's all I can say. So scaled production will not be here. No. Inventing new stuff, that's what we are doing here, and that's what we want to keep doing.
And there are still a lot of backers from the Kickstarter project waiting.
Yeah.
Including me.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm patient. What can you tell them? What can you tell us?
Okay, I've learned that not every backer is as patient as you are. And I can only understand that because I promised something else. I try to explain as good as possible why we didn't meet our deadlines. and and why this is still a problem. We nailed everything. I don't dare to say we're on track because a lot of people will not believe me. But you've seen what we are doing, how we are doing it. We're completely committed to what we are doing. And we know how to scale this project. And we want to give it a follow-up. We don't want to be a Kickstarter failure. We are dead serious about what we are doing. We stand behind what we are doing, but it takes the time it needs to get where we want to be. And I know that's longer than a lot of backers would have wanted, and what we have wanted, of course. But I can't make it any prettier. That's what it is. And when we're finished, you will be rewarded with a great record player. That's the best I have to offer now. And within, let's say, half a year, you will see that the situation has completely turned around.